Howdy folks, this is a bonus video to show you, as I promised, how to make curves. This is how I do it. There is also a tool online called Plots, P-L-O-T-Z. I will leave a link in the description to how to do that, or where that site is, and it will show you how to do, you can do spheres and ellipses and all kinds of those like regular shapes, and then it's got a few prefabs like lighthouses and wizard towers that you can do to various sizes, which is pretty cool. But a lot of the curves I want to make are not just a standard. It's not a sphere. It's not an ellipse. It's just a curve. It's, you know, a shape. Like I did a leaf on my giant plant base. I did some leaf shapes, and you know I wanted them to be roundish, but there's no prefabs for those kind of things. So what I do is I use graph paper. As you see here, I've got this is nice big dark graph paper. I would suggest using like smaller graph paper like this. Yes, I'm a nerd. I have various sizes of graph paper. But yeah, if you want to use graph paper, you can get it at any art store, etc., Office Supply, all that. This one I'm just using because it's big, it's nice and easy to see for video. Okay, so basically all you want to do is, obviously if you're going to make a symmetrical curve, you know, like a leaf, it's going to be the same on both sides, then you want to figure out where your axis is going to be first, and so you can just mirror what you're doing afterwards. But basically all you're doing is you're just starting with a curve and say, you know, you want to go like this, and that's your curve. You just decide, you know, is this this block, okay, first of all you want to decide, are you going to do diagonals on your blocks? Like in Empyrion you have diagonal blocks so that you don't have to do all squares. Are you going to do squares, or are you going to do diagonals? With squares it's simply you start, you know, say this is the inside in here, and you start and you say, okay, any square that is covered, more than half of it is covered, is going to be filled in. So your square is going to go like this, and it's going to come in, and then it's going to go across again, and then it's going to come in, because this is covering more than half of the square. And so it's that simple. Is all you're doing is saying, is this square more than halfway full? And there's no right or wrong on these ones where they're kind of halfway, maybe, sort of. You can just, you know, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter, especially when you get far away and you have a big curve. Your curve is just going to look nice regardless of which way you do it. Now if you add diagonals, you're going to look at the ones where obviously, you know, here and here and here. So you're going to decide where you want to put your diagonals, and it's going to be the same sort of thing where you're going to put them, you know, where the line matches best. Does the line match best this way or this way? And so all you're doing is making your little diagonals here, and coming up with a curvy shape, and it will look really nice when you put it in the game. So, and then all you need to do from there is you can just do your counts. So you can draw out your edges that you're going to do when you're done, so that when you build this you have something to count. And that's the thing, that's the big thing, as far as like it might seem like it's a little more work to do it this way, and but it's extra work to do curves no matter how you do them. And you know, if you are going to do curves, you're either going to have something on screen to copy from, or you're going to have it on paper anyway. So if you're drawing it out by hand, you know, and then you just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're going to do 7, and up here you're going to do 2, etc., etc. Okay, so this will tell you what your edges are going to look like, and then you can just build out your curved shape. And so here, for example, is the leaf. This is the leaf that I did on the giant plant. And so if you can see, maybe you can't see it on the video, but I just draw the curve very lightly. Whoops. I draw the curve very lightly, and then I just kind of erase as I go, so that because it makes it harder to see if you don't get the curve out of there after the fact, obviously. Okay, so there's the leaf, and here is the claw arm on the base that I did. And so you can see you get all kinds of little notes that you can draw there. And if you get something this complex, you probably want to divide it up into little segments. And with for example, in Empyrion, you can use the paint tool to paint different segments, different colors, so that you can tell what you're doing, so that you don't get lost, because it is pretty easy to get lost sometimes on these. But anyway, folks, that's my technique for doing this stuff. It was probably obvious after the fact, and it's probably what you thought it was going to be. But there's no other like super genius magic trick or whatever that makes it that makes it effortless. It's not difficult, and honestly, your curves are going to come out looking nice as long as you just kind of follow. Because the great thing about curves is they don't have to be a specific thing. They're curvy. I mean, if it looks decent to your eye, it's going to look good. So, just try it on a piece of paper, and if it doesn't look good, erase it and correct it a little, and keep going until you got a curve that you like. So that's the trick for doing curves on block games. Specifically, I do it on Empyrion and Minecraft, but you can do that with any game where you're building with blocks. And there you go. So enjoy, and see you later.